Hello, welcome to 70 Years, 70 Muppets, a Muppet fan podcast presented by toughbigs.com. This is the podcast where we celebrate the Muppets' 70th anniversary with 70 straight weeks of spotlights on our favourite Muppet characters, from the most popular to the most obscure. I am this week's host, Jarrod Fairclough, and the Muppet of the week is Dr. Bunsen Honeydew, performed by Dave Goelz and designed by Joe Hennes, making his world debut in 1976. My guest today is a man I'd consider the beaker to my Bunsen, because I've done a whole heap of stuff with him, and I've set him on fire more than once. It's Joe Hennes. Joe, welcome.
Hello, so good to be here, and thank you for such kind words. I feel like being the beaker to anyone's Bunsen means that we have a secret relationship.
Look, I wasn't going to go into it. It is secret for a reason, Joe.
Fair.
Get your hand off my
No,
leg.
so excited to talk about people who wear glasses but have no eyeballs.
Which is us.
It's us. Neither of us have eyeballs. People don't know that about us.
No, it's weird. It's weird. I photoshopped them in for photos for the website.
Yeah. Well, actually, between you and me and Ryan, I think we have one eyeball that we all share. We just have to put it in the mail to each other. Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't that happen in that Hercules movie from Disney? Yeah, well,
that's
there
us.
You go. Look,
yeah.
Cool. I'm just going to step on your joke and explain it to everyone. But Joe, move on. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk Honeydew. Honestly, not my favorite melon. And
it's nobody's favorite
watermelon.
Melon. It's a filler melon. You know, it's the melon
that's
left over with the rest of the fruit salad.
Yeah, it's
Disgusting.
like watermelon's the best, then cantaloupe, then honeydew.
Of those three, I completely agree. Yes.
Yeah. But, okay, now let's talk about
good
Bunsen
podcast.
Honeydew. Good podcast, everyone. So let's talk about Dr. Bunsen Honeydew. So, as I said, he debuted in 1976. Do you know which episode of The Muppet Show? Season 1?
Good question. No. I'm going to guess...
it's an old friend of ours, Joe.
Oh, is it the Paul Williams episode?
It's the Paul Williams episode.
Oh, that's nice. We like Paul Williams.
Yep. And the first guest was the all-purpose tenderizer.
So you asked me to watch... So I didn't realize there's only 4 Bunsen sketches in the first season of The Muppet Show.
Correct, yeah.
And those are all pre-Beaker.
Yeah.
Now, you asked me to watch those 4 in preparation for this podcast.
I did.
Why?
The reason being... Why? Because it's about Bunsen Honeydew, Joe. I had a couple of thoughts. One is Bunsen a different character in those first 4 sketches without Beaker? And I think a lot of this conversation is going to be, does Bunsen need Beaker to work?
There's so many things that you just asked right now, and I feel like we have to kind of break it down because does Bunsen work without Beaker? There's like 2 different Bunsens that we're talking about here. We've got the Bunsen from these 4 Muppet Lab sketches that we're about to talk about, and then we have the Bunsen that he becomes when he's with Beaker. Because the guy from these, from the all-purpose tenderizer, let's see if I can remember them, the gorilla detector, the robot politician, and fourth one, exploding clothes.
Exploding clothes, yes.
Yeah. So the guy from those 4 is the guy who just like, hey, I created this wacky thing, and he's not sadistic, or at least like accidentally sadistic to Beaker. He doesn't he's such a serious character that doesn't have the comedy to play off of. And I think being a straight man is different than being a serious, funny man.
Well, he's almost both in these, because he's both the sort of the one causing all this, and he's also the victim in his own things. He gets beaten up by the gorilla. He gets exploded up by the exploding clothes.
But the weird thing about it... Okay, wait. I think we need to talk about each of these individually real quick.
Yeah.
Because, so first we watched the tenderizer. All-purpose tenderizer, things get goopy. And all that one is like, it's basically a Mystery Science Theater invention exchange, where they're just like, look at this thing. Like, there's no victim. There's no... I don't know. I mean, it's not that funny, to be honest, of just like, look at this cool puppetry effect.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the Muppets showing off what they could do in that first season.
Right. And like when it comes to Bunsen, because we have to talk about Bunsen in this, it's like I think he's so dull. Like all he's doing is telling us what this thing is.
Yeah.
Dull as dirt. Okay. Then we've got I don't remember the order, but the robot politician,
The next one is
I feel
the
like I'll get out of the way.
politician, yes.
Okay, with Peter Ustinov. And I think it's like, let's hear Peter Ustinov do a bunch of insensitive accents.
Yes.
And like, also, like, we could talk about this in a totally different podcast, but it ends just as he's getting into Nazi territory.
Yeah. It really, I mean, it ends a couple of seconds after it probably should.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But like that one is just Bunsen watching someone else work.
Yes.
Like he's barely an active participant in this one. Okay, and then we've got the other two. These are the two important ones. So we've got Gorilla Detector, and as you said, Bunsen is the one who gets beat up by the gorilla. I think this is the best of the four because Bunsen the whole time is doing the whole like, obviously it's not a gorilla. Like if it was a gorilla, this machine would be going off. So whatever it is, it can't be it. And then Bunsen gets carried away and presumably eaten and killed by the gorilla.
You would assume so.
So, yeah, of course, and that felt like such good sketch comedy, and that was really funny, and like Bunsen starting to find some sort of character work in this guy who is so confident about his invention that it causes him harm.
Yes.
But then we go to Exploding Clothes, which is the one where like he's got the hat that blows up, and then he's got the earmuffs that shoot off the sparklers, and then he's got the bow tie, and the whole thing blows up. And he is the victim of that, but he's a willing victim. He knows what's going to happen.
Yes.
And so it isn't like Beaker, who's like, oh no, I don't want to do this. Oh no, now I got hurt. We're not really sure why he's doing it. And I don't know, like that I could see why these four versions of Bunsen that we just met really don't work, and like he absolutely needs a Beaker to balance him out.
Correct. He's a little bit. I sort of found in those first four, he's a little bit. I don't quite know the word, but like he's like a bumbling scientist. And yes, he is always a bumbling scientist, but he's sort of a boring bumbling scientist in this. And I can see the sort of take on the old nutty professor type sort of things, like, but. He's also kind of, especially in that first one, which is the all-purpose tenderizer, I watched it and went, this feels like QVC. This feels like he's just like, look at this thing I created that you can have. Cool. And that was it. So he needs the chaos around him, but I'm glad they brought in another character to be the victim of that chaos because it fleshes out that character of Bunsen so much more. It gives him that sadistic side, even if it is accidental, being sadistic. It's just a really interesting sort of thing, and that's why I sort of ask, does Bunsen work? Like, we know Beaker works without Bunsen. This isn't a Beaker podcast. That will come later, I'm sure. But the Bunsen side of things, like, I feel like he needs Beaker to be the character that he is.
Not only does he need Beaker to be funny, which I think is a little bit more, it's a little bit easier to explain of like this, like they have this Schlemiel and Schlemazel, interaction between each other. And like, there's always the thing of like, you need someone to talk to. And like, there's all these obvious reasons why it's funnier when there's two of them. But I think the important thing here that I want to talk about more so is Bunsen a character without Beaker? And I think we just talked a lot about how, like, is he interesting? And I think that's a big part of, like, whether he's a good character or not. But he feels like such a blank slate. And I'm going to say, the fact that his character design is basically like a mostly featureless green orb doesn't really help to, like, we can't read the expression in his eyes. He can't move his face very much. Like, he is such a blank slate physically that I think it makes him a blank slate personality-wise, and it isn't until you put him up against, like, now he's this like round Ernie looking guy, you put him next to this tall Bert looking guy, and like suddenly like he looks more interesting, and I can understand who he is a little bit more because of it. It's all related. It's all puppetry 101.
For sure. It's just like, it's interesting though. So in preparation for this, Joe, I also asked you to just skim through the Andy McDowell episode of Muppets Tonight, because it's about this very topic. So, for those who don't know it, Beaker goes on a cruise, and Bunsen realizes that his life of science has made him boring, because no one wants to hang out with him. And so he has like a midlife crisis. Like, who is he without Beaker? And he becomes all these different characters. And it's interesting because even he sort of realizes at the end of that episode he needs Beaker to function. He needs Beaker to be interesting. And so, like, yes, I'm glad we got, 25 minutes of fun Bunsen nonsense, I should say. But I can see why that's not something they have done before that or since. Like, that's fun for the moment, but he needs that bounce off.
Yeah, absolutely agree. It's fun. We see him kind of become like a punk for a little bit. Oh, he's like a rapper, Snoop
Doggy Doo.
Snoop Doggy Doo. It's so stupid. I hate it. It's also like it's such a time capsule now of like what we thought was cool in 1996, 97, whenever that was. But so he's Snoop Doggy Doo. He's got like a mohawk, and then he goes through this whole thing where he's like putting on different costumes for Johnny Fiamma and ends up looking like Johnny Fiamma in the end. And it really is like a how can we update a character that has been around since 1976? And I think that like a lot of long-running series have had that issue where like, is Scooby-Doo still cool? Like, do we have to update Fred Flintstone?
Yeah.
And obviously Bunsen is not Fred Flintstone, but I think that's a question to ask long-running characters anyway. Doubly so for a character who really does come across as boring once you remove his comic elements, which is Beaker.
Yeah, you take away that comic element, and like I try to think about like other popular Muppet duos. Like you mentioned Bert and Ernie, like they work separately to each other. You look at Statler and Waldorf; they don't really work without the other one, and so I feel like Bunsen and Beaker sort of, or not even Bunsen and Beaker, because like I said, Beaker can work without Bunsen in some situations.
Yeah, and I actually want to throw this out because this is something that a lot of people disagree with me on, but I'm going to say it anyway because it also ties into this Andy McDowell Muppets Tonight episode, is Johnny and Sal, where, in my opinion, I think Johnny Fiamma can work really well as a solo character. And we interviewed Bill Barretta on another podcast and asked him this, and he said absolutely not. Sal isn't integral, which I agree it's integral to the character as a whole, but like, I think we can absolutely separate these characters. I don't think Sal works as a solo character. So
no, I agree.
And I don't know why. I mean, maybe it's something about like the funnier character can work well, but the supporting character can't. I don't know.
Well, it's all about straight man versus the like the wacky one. Like you look at Johnny and Sal works because he is obsessed with Johnny. He works because that is his whole personality is Johnny. Bunsen's whole personality is doing things to Beaker. So I think if you take away that element, you've got a character that just doesn't work anymore. Statler and Waldorf work because they bounce off each other and both hate things together.
Yes,
whereas
Statler and Waldorf are two sides of the same character. That's why you can't separate them. But I think what we're kind of landing on here is Sal and Bunsen. What they have in common is that they both really exist in support of another character. Yes. Even if they're on common ground, like Bunsen and Beaker always go together or whatever. Like you could take Beaker out and Beaker can be funny, but Bunsen has to rely on Beaker, just like Sal has to rely on Johnny. And it's interesting because Johnny and Sal were created at the same time, so we don't think of them as being separate. But Bunsen came a year before Beaker, and so he should work on his own, but obviously he doesn't.
Obviously doesn't, and I like the fact that I think they probably recognized that as they're making the second season and thought, all right, we need something else here. And then, they've put this giant tube on Richard Hunt's arm, and the rest is history. You mentioned that he goes through this whole Bunsen goes through this whole thing and looks like Johnny Fiamma. I highly recommend people go and find a photo of this because
it is on YouTube if you want to find it. That's
I'll quickly explain it, and then I've just got a point I have to make that I think Joe has the same point. Bunsen's got like the hair, he's got the glasses, he's got giant eyebrows, and he's got a suit on. And there's someone he looks like that I cannot unsee. And Joe, I think you've got the same thought.
I am like this once I noticed this, and I'm so curious if we're about to say the same person. What should we do? Should I say it? Do you want to count to 3?
Well, let's count to 3. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
One,
two,
three.
3.
Eugene
Martin
Levy.
Scorsese. No! He looks so much like Martin Scorsese to me.
He does, but he also looks exactly like Eugene Levy in Schitt's Creek.
Wow. Okay, well, here's the thing. We're both right. All
that's
right,
funny.
well, that was very funny.
That's interesting. You looking that? I'll give that to you. He does look like Martin Scorsese. And he's got the attitude of Scorsese as well, so I'll sort of give that to you. But
I mean, he's Italian and not Jewish, so I think that's a
well,
point in Scorsese's favor.
Yeah, true. But also, I mean, it's obviously, I think it's the eyebrows. It's the eyebrows and the glasses. He looks like Eugene Levy.
Yeah. Both of these men have eyebrows, big eyebrows, glasses, the big wave in the hair.
Yeah.
You know, they wear suits.
Yeah. You know, same thing. So
classic Bunsen.
Classic Bunsen. You talked about the design before, how he's sort of that blank slate. So, as I said, Jim Henson designed him. He was built by Dave Goelz, which I didn't know until I was looking it up for this podcast. He has no eyes, like you said. Like, neither do I, and neither do you, but we have no eyes. Is that something you notice when you're watching a Bunsen thing, or have you just become accustomed to it?
I definitely become accustomed to his face. See what I did there?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think of it in the same way that I don't think about like where Scooter's eyes are. You know, if they're on his glasses, on his face, whatever.
Yeah,
that's something for the Scooter episode to talk about. But it isn't until like he lifts his glasses, which I love when he does that. When he does that little like glasses lift and he tries to look at something close and obviously he has no eyes behind it. I think that's a great little puppetry move. And there's a pin that they sold like years and years ago, like a little button. It was a picture of Bunsen, and it had the text "I have no eyeballs" on it, which I think is the funniest friggin' thing. That like they actually sold merchandise that said that. Maybe on other things than a pin, but that's what I had. I had the pin that said "I have no eyeballs," and it was like official merch and all that. So like, I mean, it's fun that they get to play with that. I think. You know, like I said before, it's hard for a character of that shape and size to like really emote a lot. So the fact that Dave Goelz really got clever with it, with the way he uses the glasses, I think is really great. Yeah, I don't really think about like where are Bunsen's eyes at any point.
Yeah, it's weird. I think it's at the end of Happiness Hotel where Gonzo takes a photo of everyone. You actually see Bunsen's, like, because all the eyes are wide open, you see Bunsen's eyes. I think that might be the only time we've seen them.
It's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. I believe you.
Horrifying. Well, there's a really cool thing as well that I noticed looking through all these videos, which is the shadow of Bunsen's glasses almost trick you into thinking there are eyes there. Like they're quite closed and quite squinted, but they sort of do look like they're there. And, well, it's interesting. So the new Muppet Babies, the CGI version of it, would sometimes actually use the shadow of his glasses to convey emotion. Like, they would move just a little bit. Not a lot, but I heard Matt Danner talking about it, who created the show. He would actually talk about the fact that they could manipulate them. They didn't want to do it too much, but they could sort of manipulate that shadow. And so if you watch that show, it actually looks like... The first time I saw it, I was like, why have they given Bunsen eyes? And then I realized what they were doing.
That's interesting. I kind of like that. I don't mind that. It's like I just like the Deadpool movies, like his eyes, move around, even though it's obviously a mask. Like we know that, but also like it's comics. Who cares? Like, and I feel like that's the kind of thing that we can get away with in a cartoon. The puppet. I mean, I could see a puppet doing that, but not Bunsen, because Bunsen has been around since 1976. Why would you give him glasses that can move now?
Yeah.
But, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I'm for it. Why not? Who cares?
Why not? Well, he's also, just as I was going through the sort of design of Bunsen over the years, he's had some wild redesigns. He's always kept the main sort of look to him. But you sort of go through it and, he pretty much looked the same up until probably 1999. right? Then you sort of get to he gets a little fatter, a little thinner, but like he's pretty much the same. You get to Muppets from Space, and he's obviously on Ozempic or something, because all of a sudden, Bunsen is about half his weight.
That's interesting. I wonder. I'm looking at some pictures on the Dr. Bunsen Honeydew Through the Years page on the Muppet Wiki, and I wonder if part of that is like he has a little bit more of a pronounced neck.
Yes,
which makes him look thinner.
Yeah,
because his body isn't any bigger or smaller. It's just like it's a little bit more tapered between head and body.
Yeah, he's actually
and that kind of gives him
kind of got one chin rather than the 2 or 3 that he usually has.
Yeah. Though that's interesting. I hadn't really thought much about that. But
Quite
here's my question about like Bunsen Through the Years. I mean, you're looking at pictures of him right now, so it's a bit of a cheat. But like in your opinion, when you close your eyes and think about what Bunsen looks like, what color is he?
Oh, he's a very light green.
Yeah, in my eyes, he's like this yellow-green, like really like a light green. But in a lot of stuff, I'll watch it, and he's like neon green. Like he's like a highlighter.
Yes.
And looking at the pictures of him on the wiki, like it seems like he gets greener and greener as time goes on.
Correct.
And I mean, obviously, a lot of it has to do with the lighting and the cameras that they're using. But he is not consistent.
He is not. So I got to go last year they were recording. You remember they did the thing at Disney World where Bunsen and Pika had their own hot wings restaurant.
Yeah.
Brew Wing Lab it was called. So I got to go to the day they recorded the pieces for that. So I sort of got to sit around for a couple of hours and just watch Bunsen and Beaker clips, which is great. The first thing I said to Bill Barretta, who was there that day, was, has he always been this green? And Bill went, I think he's probably got a bit greener over the years. I could not for the life of me remember him being as vibrant as he was. So I don't know, again, if it's the lighting, if it's maybe, on camera those colours are dulled a little bit. I don't know. But he is neon green in person. And it's really strange to look at.
And I can't think of another Muppet that really, in my eyes, is changes color quite so much. Like I can picture Fozzie, depending on the project, like his fur's a little bit darker, or like Kermit kind of wavers between a couple of shades of green depending on the cameras and the lights and all that. But like Bunsen is really that looks like a different puppet. That looks like they used the wrong color and didn't realize it until far too late.
Yeah, well, just looking over the last 30 years, there has been 5 different designs of him, so I don't think it's just us. I think he actually is changing. I do want to very quickly, before we move on, just mention that for 12 months, they used one particular puppet that is horrendous. It was after the skinny Bunsen. He was only used for about 12 months, and he has the biggest ears I've ever seen in my life.
It's better to hear Beaker's screams, I suppose.
Yeah, it's generally horrifying. Joe, a couple of questions before we wrap up. First one, how old were you when you realized why they were called Bunsen and Beaker?
Oh my God, what a good question. I have no idea. Definitely older. I think I remember. Actually, I think I remember being in high school and we had a science class and we were told pick a Bunsen burner or whatever to stand in front of, and I was like, oh, Bunsen burner. They named it after the Muppet, obviously. So I was definitely like 16 or so by the time I realized it.
Yeah, no, definitely me too. I definitely wasn't about 28. I was. It was terrible. I remember the day it happened. I was just like, oh, of course, that makes sense. I think I tweeted it. Pathetic. And also, what do you think came first? The name Honeydew or the green round melon head design?
Oh, I bet it was the design. I bet you, when they were thinking about we're gonna have these new fun characters for this new show we're calling the Muppet Show, and we're gonna have the scientist character and he's green and rounds, and we'll come up with a name for him later. And someone's like, looks like a honeydew. They're like, well, that's his name now. That's how I pictured that going, but maybe with funnier people than me. I don't know, like a Frank Oz type making that observation. your Jack Burns's or so forth.
Yeah. I disagree. I think it was the other way around.
Wow.
I don't. I just
right.
felt like I had to say something.
Yeah. Is that actually what you believe, or did you just want to be dissident?
I just wanted to be dissident. I feel like
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
you can
work
do that.
without you. I feel like this is why I'm the Bunsen, you're the Beaker. I don't work without you, Joe. Joe, thank you very much. It's been an absolute delight to sit and talk to you about old Dr. Bunsen Honeydew. That was my Bunsen Honeydew impression. Do you want to do one before we go?
Oh my god, I don't do impressions. Let's see.
either.
Dr. Bunsen Honeydew. That sounded like the
That was
architect
pretty good.
picture. Was that good?
It was
Horrible.
definitely
Sounded
architect
terrible in my
but
head.
it was pretty good. Well done. Joe, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. What a joy to talk about science.